Fernando Ramos has been arrested and charged with fatally hitting a bike rider and then fleeing the scene. The incident occurred just after 6 a.m. on the 21st of May 2022 at the intersection of Jackrabbit Trail and Belote Road in Buckeye, Arizona, when Fernando was speeding in his pickup truck and struck cyclist 60-year-old George Cooper. A witness contacted the authorities after the driver failed to stop to offer assistance. First responders arrived at the scene, where they pronounced George dead. Based on witness reports, officers began searching for a tan Chevy Avalanche, pulling an empty flatbed trailer. The authorities soon spotted the pickup truck matching the description, about 9 miles from the crash scene. There was front-end damage on the vehicle, and after pulling Fernando over, they saw what appeared to be smoke and steam rising from the engine compartment. Fernando admitted that he'd been involved in an accident and was taken into custody. Fernando told the investigators that he didn't see the bike until the last moment and couldn't stop in time. He said he panicked following the collision, and that's why he drove off. After completing a crash recreation, the officers determined that Fernando was estimated to have been travelling at 60 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone. Fernando was charged with manslaughter and hit-and-run charges. Fernando has previously served time for aggravated assault with a vehicle and has also been arrested in the past for driving under the influence. 36-year-old Christopher Hoops has been charged with fatally shooting his 25-year-old ballerina wife, Colleen Hoops, after he mistook her for an intruder. The incident occurred at around 3:45 a.m. on the 20th of May 2022, when the authorities responded to a home located at 1415 South College Avenue in Tempe, Arizona, on reports of a shooting. The authorities said that Christopher told the dispatcher that he was startled by his wife in the middle of the night and subsequently shot her. When the authorities arrived at the residence, they found Colleen suffering from 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. She was rushed to the hospital in a critical condition, and within an hour she was pronounced dead. Christopher told police he shot her 2 or 3 times before realising it was his wife. He maintained that statement while at the scene until requesting to speak to an attorney. During their investigation, detectives found evidence that Christopher shot from the foot of the bed to the opposite end of the bed using a 9mm handgun. The investigators obtained surveillance footage with audio from a nearby home where the sound of a gunshot can be heard, followed by another shot more than 2 seconds later. It is said that Christopher then called 911 4 minutes after the shooting. Detective Natalie Barella said that it's key that the neighbours were able to provide us with some of that feedback through surveillance and recordings. It helps us to provide a different probable cause than the statements that were made and said. Christopher was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and unlawful discharge of a weapon within city limits. He posted a bond which was set at $750,000. Colleen was a professional dancer with Ballet Arizona for the last 5 years. On the 26th of May 2022, 32-year-old Amanda Barron was found guilty of a string of offences relating to the murder of his wife's co-worker that happened almost 2 years ago. Events unfolded on the night of the 19th of September 2020, when Amanda discovered his 31-year-old wife Brittany was having an affair with her 25-year-old colleague Jonathan Emerald after finding Snapchat messages exchanged between them, and he was furious. He began punching Brittany in the head, giving her 2 black eyes and a broken nose, before hitting her with a gun and putting his hand around her mouth and neck. He then used Brittany's cell phone to pretend to be her to get Jonathan to meet up with him at Annett State Park in Rindge, New Hampshire, and forced Brittany to come along. When Jonathan arrived at the park, Amanda started kicking and stomping on him. He then ordered Brittany to stand on Jonathan's neck, causing him to struggle to breathe, and then told her to cut his wrists, which she did. Jonathan begged for his life and hers, promising never to talk to or see her again. He said, "Look at her. Do you still think she's pretty?" referring to her beat-up face, and Jonathan looked at Brittany and said, "Yeah, I do." Amanda then forced Jonathan headfirst into the hatchback of his own Subaru Impreza. He then handed Brittany a gun and told her to shoot Jonathan, but she refused. Jonathan then said, "I thought you were going to let me live," before Amanda took control of the gun and shot him twice in the chest and once in the head. Amanda then ordered Brittany to drive Jonathan's car with his body inside, 200 miles to a campsite in Errol, while Amanda followed her in another vehicle. When they arrived at the site, Amanda forced Brittany to remove Jonathan's head with a saw and to get rid of his body. Brittany then buried his head and wrapped the body in a tarp and dumped it into a brook. The body was found 3 days later after authorities were notified of illegal campers in the area and Armando was arrested that same day. Armando was found guilty of 13 offences, including murder and kidnapping. He now faces life in prison. 64-year-old Stephen Wilson has been arrested and charged with murdering his wife and 2 daughters. The incident occurred at around 4 p.m. on the 25th of May 2022, when the authorities responded to a report of an armed disturbance at a home located in the 1000 block of Kaywood Drive in Lexington, Kentucky. When officers arrived, they found 3 females had been shot, each multiple times, all of which were declared dead at the scene. The identity of the victims are 65-year-old Lisa Wilson, 42-year-old Bryony Wilson, and 38-year-old Bronwyn Wilson. Shortly after the killings, Stephen took to Facebook saying, "Okay, so all my friends, I've just shot and killed my wife and 2 daughters with a pistol." In another post he wrote, "Just want to lay down and sleep until, I don't know, the end." Stephen has been arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder and appeared in court on the 26th of May, pleading not guilty to the charges. He's held at the Lexington County Jail without bail. Stephen doesn't have a prior criminal history. The motive of the shooting is unclear. Those that knew the Wilson family said, from what they saw, the family was stable and happy in each other's company. Stephen stayed at home and drove his family members to work and gatherings. Lisa was a long-time nurse at the Good Samaritan Hospital and was the provider of the family. She worked long shifts to support her daughters and husband. Bryony worked at the Lexington Public Library, and Bronwyn was a cake decorator at the Mondelli's Bake Shop. A neighbour named Francis James said, "It's really shocking that he chose to do this, really. He was not a real friendly person. However, he was a neighbour and we spoke. It didn't need to happen." She said, "I pray for the family. It's really hard. With everything that's going on today, with the stress of everybody trying to live, it's pretty tough on the ones who can't do it, so they break down and this is what happens. It's really sad." 46-year-old Irma Garcia was a 4th grade teacher killed on the 24th of May 2022 during a mass shooting at the Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. On the morning of the 26th of May, her 50-year-old husband, Joe Garcia, died from a heart attack. Joe's nephew, John Martinez, said that his uncle had just gotten home from leaving flowers at Irma's memorial when he pretty much fell over, he said. John posted to social media that his uncle had passed away due to grief. "I truly am at loss for words on how we're all feeling," he said. "God have mercy on us. This isn't easy." Irma's cousin Deborah Austin said she truly believes that Joe died of a broken heart. Losing the love of his life of more than 25 years was too much to bear.